Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back with another weekly astrology update. We are in the middle of eclipse season. These last 2 weeks have been a little bit tiring when we're in the middle of an eclipse season. So 2 weeks ago, we had, or I guess about a week and a half ago, we had the new moon eclipse, so the solar eclipse in Libra, Venus's sign. And then now, 2 weeks later, this Saturday, we are having the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, Venus's other sign. And in between those eclipses, I feel like especially having it in Taurus, the fixed sign, and Libra, the cardinal sign, so we don't have that mutable energy, very fixed energy, really adds to the heaviness that we may be feeling over these last 2 weeks. And when I say heavy, it doesn't all mean it's doom and gloom, but just heavy. Maybe your body feels heavy, your mind feels heavy, you feel tired. I know for me, I just kind of feel tired. I'm overrun again. I'm feeling just tired. Like I want to get home and I want to do nothing. I want to veg. I want to relax. Which is very Taurus characteristics. If you know a Taurus placement, they need their sleep. They love to relax. They love to rest. They love to feel good. So that's really playing into this energy. So again, you're not alone if you just feel like a little blah or low energy or just kind of out of it, but not really wanting to make the shifts. Know that that's the eclipse. This energy is beating down to us, right? And it is creating these feelings in our cells, in our body, in our mind, in our energy. And this will pass. So, this episode is going to be mostly about finishing up the eclipse season in Taurus. So this is ending a 2-year eclipse season. So that's going to be mostly about this podcast. On Sunday, the 22nd, Mercury moved into Scorpio, and we're going to talk about what's happening with that and this lunar eclipse. Yesterday, Monday, the sun moved into Scorpio, so we are now in full-blown Scorpio season, baby. No, I'm kidding. Scorpio season's interesting, though, because it can sort of, I want to say erect darkness, but we just added to that darker, heavier theme tends to come with the sun in Scorpio season. Now, on Saturday the 28th, like I said, we have the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. It is ending a 2-year cycle and of that eclipse axis that was happening between Scorpio and Taurus. So this is kind of one big conclusion. And at the same time, a few hours, give or take, after the exact lunar eclipse, the sun and Mercury will also be going opposite. The moon will also be going opposite sun and Mercury in Scorpio. So we're going to be really revealing lots of shadows, but I actually don't think it's going to be really about revealing lots of shadows. It's going to be mostly about concluding those shadows or patterns. And I'm sorry, I said the moon. I meant to say Jupiter in Taurus is going to be opposite at the same time as this eclipse, opposite the sun and Mercury. So that is Jupiter going opposite the sun and Mercury. Sorry about that. Get my words all jumbled up. So before we hop into all of this eclipse talk, I want to say something I found out really interesting. So Google's new version of AI, which is going to be the opposite of the ChatGPT, their new version, is called Gemini. I just learned they're calling it Gemini. I think that is fascinating, right? And I think it's so perfect because Gemini's ruler is Mercury, the gatherer of information. And particularly in the sign of Gemini, not the sign of Virgo, and we'll go into that. The sign of Gemini is about collecting information. If you ever met a Gemini, they tend to know a little bit about everything, every subject. They just like to know. It's a very curious mind. So Geminis tend to collect information and then give it away freely, even if you don't want it. How many Geminis do you know? You don't even want to know the facts, and you'll be like, oh, I saw that. The other day, I walked past the Statue of Liberty, and they'd say, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. It depends. It's something that they'll be interested in, they'll know the most about, but I just think that that's really fitting. And now, Virgo, Mercury also rules Virgo, that's more about processing the information. That's more about sort of taking it in, processing it through the mind, and thinking about all that information. Gemini is about sharing it and talking it, and Virgo is about thinking it and processing it. So I just think that that's really interesting and and perfect. So the new AI will be Gemini. I'll be getting that, my little Gemini twin. And also one more thing I want to touch about. I have not done any videos yet online. Most of you guys know up until I had, in September, I went on that social media break. I was doing a lot of videos posting. So I would sit with my notes. I would do these podcast episodes. And then when I was out there living the astrology transits I was talking about, I would kind of update it with videos and things that I would talk about. And I will get back to that, I promise you. I just have not had the energy yet. I'm slowly posting a little bit here on Instagram, and I'm coming back slowly. But since I've had this break, I just have not felt like doing it. And I have a lot of responsibilities right now, and I always have a lot of responsibilities, but right now my responsibilities have taken on taking up a lot of mental space. And so with that being said, most of you guys know my mom, my kids, work, my career that's outside of astrology. I have a full-time hair career. All those things have been weighing on me. And when I get home, I'm just like, I'm just not in the space yet for videos. I'm just not. I don't even want to go through what I have to go through. And it really doesn't take me that much. I just don't have the energy for it yet. This is also coinciding again with Saturn. If you remember what happened to the springtime when I started to slow them down anyway, Saturn in Pisces is now conjunct my natal Mars and squaring my sun. So it finally, in July, got away from that sort of 3-degree square. And then when it retrograded back, it hit it. And I know that I have the sun in the 10th house in Gemini, so sharing and giving information out. And right now, I'm just allowing this pause to happen, right? The videos are always going to be there. All that shit's going to be there. It doesn't matter. If I lose all of my followers, oh, well, new ones will be there to build if that's what happens. But I feel like I'm still doing these podcast episodes, and the people that really care about my astrology and my words, they're going to listen to my podcast. The people who just want to see my tits, they're going to watch my videos. That is the truth. And it's funny, you guys know, if you watch my social media, my tits are out. I'm just going here right now. We're going rated R. I love my tits. I've always have been. I think that we should not be so closed up about them, and more women should show them off. So, but also, because Instagram is tricky, my videos, you're not going to believe this, when I would post versus totally closed up, or, I got the girls out showing them a little bit, my videos jumped up 50%. Now, I'm sure that's lots of men looking at those, but it also is that the Instagram, puts out more nudity than anything. If you're on Instagram, you see most of people are half naked. It's kind of crazy right now. So Instagram, which I hate going up against this computer, will literally send out like 50% more of my videos when I'm, open versus when I'm closed up. So that's also why I do that. Just a little FYI sometimes, and I think I like to speak about the astrology with the sisters out, love it or hate it. But again, those are only people that are missing my videos. Really, everyone else who cares about the astrology content is coming here and listening to my podcast. So I don't know, I guess with all that being said, I thought I'd be ready this Saturday to do them for this eclipse, and I'm just not ready. I just get home and I just have stuff to do, or I want to read about astrology. I just don't want to go there yet. So I apologize. I know some of you actually do just like to be informed every day on Instagram about my stuff outside of this episode, and I promise you I will get back to that. I'm sure it'll become much more flowing when Saturn moves away from that square of my sun and kind of blocking all of that. But right now I'm trusting the process, and when I'm ready, my mind, my body, my soul, it will know. And that's just a key to life for everything. Okay, so that's talk about these transits. So again, with this, we are having a big conclusion. So the first eclipse in Taurus that began this axis was 2 years ago, November 19th, 2021. So I want everyone to think about that, first of all. Write down that date. Go back to it later, because there's going to be something about reflecting over these last 2 years. So write down that date and start to really wonder what cycles came up. What cycles came up. And to get a better idea, maybe if you can't even think of what cycles, go to what house in your birth chart does Taurus and Scorpio both rule, okay? But particularly look at Taurus and look at the evolution there. With this happening, we'll talk about the Taurus. We already finished out the Scorpio. No more Scorpio. Bye, Scorpios. Finish out the Taurus, but this is going to be a conclusion in some way. There's going to be a conclusion. I'm going to talk about all the different conclusions and give you guys some ideas and some feelings of what happened. But being a conclusion in power dynamics in a relationship is going to be a big, big theme. A lot of final plot endings happening after these last 2 years. So remember, eclipses, they bring people into your life and they exit people out of your life. They bring new plot changes into your life and they exit plot changes into your life. These are those big pinnacle moments where your life kind of switches a little bit. Like you drop the, you flick over the domino and things start to change. So with eclipses, it doesn't mean that that day things are going to happen. It's just a little seed is either planted or a domino is dropped. And then the weeks past in between and after will start to really play out the story. And then when we get to the spring, 6 months from now, the next eclipse season they'll be having in Libra and Aries, we'll get a little bit of more of a story there. So right now we're finishing out that story. Okay. We're finishing out that 2 years. So we're now ending the life plot endings. And so I feel like a lot of these, because in Taurus is Venus themed, right? So they're going to be around conclusions in relationships. And those relationships can vary as much as they're romantic, can also be friendship. Romance, friendship, our self-love is really huge with Venus. So let's not forget about that. That's the one thing most of us are lacking the most, is self-love. We're constantly seeking love outside of ourselves instead of self-love, which should be our number one. So that's going to be a big theme with that, as well as some family, but more sisters or women family, even children a little bit show up with Venus, within that. So, and your joy and your pleasure. So maybe there are things that you liked 2 years ago you no longer like. There's things that you described as happiness or joy are bringing you those things. And now you've realized, oh, maybe those don't bring me so much joy. Maybe those don't bring me so much happiness. And the dreaded people leaving our lives and people coming into our lives. And number one is we got to trust when people leave our lives. It's alignment, right? Everything is an energetic vibration, whether we realize it or not. And so when people leave or come into our life, that is going to actually also depend on what vibration are we giving out. Okay. And it doesn't mean because a horrible person comes into your life that you're giving out a horrible vibration. It's even deeper than that. But there could be some sort of subconscious pattern just easing out of us, easing out of us and not maybe easing out of us, but oozing is the word I'm looking for, oozing out of us. Now, the biggest players that felt this eclipse season the most are going to be my Taurus placements, okay, sun, moon, rising, especially my Taurus risings, and my Scorpio placements, sun, moon, and rising, especially the rising. Will feel it in their body, in their soul with them. The sun and moon will be more so about their environment, people around their environment, mother, father, as well as workplace, and just their overall, where their directions in life. So you guys have definitely, and you know what? And also my other fixed signs, Aquarius rising and Leo risings, also felt it. They felt it in the career and in the home and in the foundation. So people that got those angular houses, which are my fixed signs, definitely had the hardest time with these eclipse seasons. And it's not always hard. There's lots of beauty to there. But you'll find when eclipse seasons happen that those fixed rising signs tend to have the biggest changes. So we're going to see with this eclipse season, Libra and Aries, it's going to be more our cardinal signs that feel this the most. So Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, Aries, those are going to be feeling those the most, or having the biggest life transformations with all that's happening. The rest of us will be feeling it, but maybe not having as big of plot changes in our life as those did. So the good news is my fixed signs, you definitely made it over a hard hump. You're here. Now it's time for a little bit of a break. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be easy. The planets come in and they shift out, but those big, hard things that you went through, you're going to take a reprieve from them. They're not going to be so big. And, the final ending that we're seeing and feeling, and this can be the bigger side for the fixed signs or a smaller scale for more mutable or other signs, is that there is going to be a final ending with this. And we're getting to the other side of that. And with fixed signs, so the energy is there, fixed signs don't like change and they don't like shifts. That's one of their things. They're not mutable, right? So they're not always changing, but with fixed signs, they don't like change. So they'll stay in something longer than they should have, whatever that is or whatever that looks like, or they're doing something longer than they should have. So when that is removed, there is this attachment pain. So that's why the general energy, even for my mutable or my cardinal signs, is still there a little bit, because that's the general energy of this eclipse. So we are taking away, and for everyone else, mutable signs, everyone, look again to get a better idea of where Taurus and Scorpio is in your axis. And, you know, this is also bringing a great deal in strength and mindset change. You know, what's interesting with Taurus, you know, we've had Uranus there since 2017. I think it was May of 2017. And one of the things with Uranus is in Venus, in Taurus, you know, especially around money, is there has been a lot of shifts around money. And even in a bigger scale, the eclipse season, these last 2.5 years, what has happened these last two years, right? We've had sudden changes in our finances, like crazy. Everything in this world in 2 years has literally like 50% doubled, like over whatever it is. I mean, buying hair color, I know, and I'm just gonna put them on blast. Wella, okay? I use Wella. I use 2 different kinds, Wella and Redken. And Redken at the salon, Wella personal, and I'll bring in some personal, has literally raised their color per tube to $4.50. It's like $4.30 or something like that. In 2 years, in under 2 years, okay? And so that is just a small scale. I mean, that is every single thing. So as these eclipses have been happening, we've seen inflation happen. We've seen things go dramatically up, down. We saw the cryptocurrency go really up 2 years ago, and everyone was doing it, to that's dropping again. So that was a big thing on the collective with these Taurus eclipses. Now, the energy again in general, feel like you are too tired anymore. And this week we're feeling a lot. You finally ready to release something. You've stayed stuck in this energy for too long, and now you're ready to free yourself of this energy. You're ready to release this energy. And embrace the change that this absence will bring. You know, the creativity of the unknown is amazing, right? I mean, everything grows from darkness. So there has to be absence. And in my experience, when I remove an energy, a person, a place, a thing, even like I had said on my 1 month detox totally from social media, I removed that, and instantly it was like this empty space for me to create again. So when you remove something, that energy is filled again. So embrace the absence of whatever's being removed, okay? That means life is brewing up something really new for you, something that will level or align you with who you are now, right? We're always in shifting, we're always changing and growing. So that means our alignments change and shift. So I want you to embrace the absence of whatever you're losing, whatever you're concluding, whatever you're realizing is no longer there with this eclipse. Now, this is a time, okay, to release attachments. Like I said, a lot of our attachments are going to be present. They're going to be in front of us. We're really going to see it this weekend, even with just our own mindset within that. And so this is a time that we are also going to be closing up our attachments. And it could be, you know, if it's not hitting you personally, right? A Taurus rising, Scorpio rising in yourself or the other person, this could be showing up our attachments to material things, which is very Venus, the attachments to what we once found joy, happiness, or pleasure. I know for me over these last 2 years, and I have a natal Jupiter actually in the 9th house in Taurus. So I'm having a Jupiter return this year. I'm also have the eclipses in my 9th house and the 3rd house. And I have become, I'm not perfect yet. I have become Miss Environment though. I mean, I'm not perfect, but over these last 2 years, I can't even believe it. I'm obsessive, like to a better degree of like, I do buy shoes, but for the most part, I try to only buy my clothes secondhand. Now, you know, Plato's Closet has so many amazing clothes. So in other places, secondhand. I recycle everything you can. I've even learned, like, I cut off, like, people don't realize when you recycle, you just throw your stuff away, but it's not going to recycle your bottle if you don't take the label off. Okay. So I'm doing like legit recycling. I switched all my home care products over into like reusable things. I go to Shift, which is an amazing store in Narberth, if you're local to the Philadelphia area, and all your needs, all your home needs, beauty needs, care needs, they're locally sourced, all organic. It's a women's owned business, and you can just bring in your own container and refill it. And that has come on so strong. No one even around me was doing it. All of a sudden, I was like, what am I doing here on Earth? We're connected to Earth. We are Mother Nature. And I use Earth for so much spirituality. You know, how am I not doing everything I can to take care of it, and letting go of my own selfish needs, for what I want. And so that has how this has really showed up. So that's what I'm getting at. There is like a attachment from something that, we're releasing that attachment. We don't need that. I don't need all to be buying stuff and things and that just to create, we're going to die anyways and everyone leaves their shit here and then it just is trash, So that's how that has showed up for me. And I'm curious if anyone else has had that, some minimalistic, realizing you don't need all these material things to bring you joy or happiness. Okay, so with this weekend's energy, we can also have a fight and have our way and not give in too easily. So that's another thing. This full moon, even though it's a conclusion, the general energy can bring some stubborn energy, which is a very Taurus, like I'm not giving in. I don't care. I'm not listening to you, and I'm going to do what I want. That can definitely be the energy there, because the energy is on the side of fighting. It is this weekend, or just arguing, or just not wanting to give in, which is always, when we have that, a unique growth opportunity to do something different, though, especially if you're an arguer. So Jupiter will also be in Taurus, like I said, going opposite Mercury and Mars in Taurus. So during this lunar eclipse, so fighting with conviction is one of the things that come, especially with Jupiter. So like something that you really believe in, arguing over something that's really important to you. Like, no, this is my stance. This is what I believe in. And I'm going to argue it with conviction. I'm going to make you believe that as well. So it's going to be really powerful. So it doesn't always mean bad, but just know that like if it's something you believe in strongly, you're going to fight for it. And that's for sure. So again, arguing over something that's important. Cutting strong soul ties. So Jupiter in Taurus, Jupiter's in there really holding on to our relationships, wanting to hold on and expand. And it's given, with the conclusion, it's given us some spiritual awareness. So now going opposite, the Mars cutting in Scorpio, and the Sun is going to be really cutting strong soul ties, letting those ties go. And I definitely suggest for people, look up cord tying. I could tell you, I've talked about it before, but just like envision a cord between you and someone else in your lower chakras or your heart chakra, any chakra that really feels like it's resonating with you, and you can cut it. And online, there's deeper details. You can take it however you want, add a frequency to it, but this is going to be cutting strong soul ties, and maybe even just verbally telling someone I'm cutting them. Standing in your faith and belief in something. So again, even if you're not arguing big time, you might just say, hey, this is what I believe in, good for you, but this is what I'm staying in and believing in. Battling some past shadow work again, like one final little boop might be coming up for you, and you have to battle that again to get to the other side. So again, this is a really great energy, though, to gain courage and cut someone out. You will have the courage, it will be on your side, and you will have the belief. Now, like I said earlier, and we're going to finish up this episode, I want you to go back to the date, November 21st, 2021, 2121, 11/11, 2121. How about that? 11/11 in that number. So I want all of you to reflect over what you've learned about yourself over these last 2 years, about relationships, self-love, joy, pleasure, patterns that arose in yourself, shadow patterns maybe you knew that were there, but you weren't ready to give it up until you had it too much. Sometimes patterns, you have to see it over and over again, and then you're like, God, I'm so sick of doing that. Now I'm ready to give it up. And new beginnings arose as well. So just like that, with patterns arising and endings happening, which is the eclipse, new beginnings arose. So where were you when it comes to love, intimacy, pleasure, self-love, friendship, all relationships of all kinds in 2021? And where are you now? What's changed? What's shifted in your mindset, in your soul, in your belief system with all of those things? What's to be celebrated? What are you celebrating within yourself in that context? And what's to be mourned, right? You can have both. You can celebrate a new beginning and also mourn something that is no longer there. Those energies can both exist simultaneously. So what's to be celebrated right now at the end of this eclipse cycle, and what's to be mourned? What do you value more now compared to what you valued 2 years ago? That's a big theme for this Taurus eclipse season was, what do you value? Our values had shifted. Our values had changed. Our values are up and down. So what do you value more now, right? Compared to 2 years ago. I know I value my relationship with my mother more. I value my relationship with my family more, which is very Venus-like, more. I've really learned how to have more radical compassion and understanding and love, probably more. And I valued that and valued my family time more than I did 2 years ago. Way, way, way more. I always was a big family person, but even more so now, especially as aging parent, Matt's parents, who I'm very close to, my kids' other grandparents, I value my time with them, just value family. And you have changed now, and you have a new perception. And maybe that perception has a little pain, and maybe it's a little rosy and clear, but maybe it's not, So how do we honor both again? Just honor whatever feelings come up for you this week. Remember, feelings are not facts, but they're energy that moves out of us. So honor that, the good, the bad, the ugly, the sad, the pain, as we close this eclipse season, and know that this is all for the alignment. Everything you lost is for your alignment with who you are now and where you're going. And everything you gained is for your alignment with who you are now and where you're going. And I need you all to trust that. Whew. Okay, the end of eclipse season. Yes, baby. Again, go back over those last 2 minutes and write down if you want a deeper reflection. Me speaking it and you listening will bring some reflection. But if you want to go even deeper tonight, write down those questions and sit with them for a half hour. 21 minutes. I don't know why I just said 21 minutes. I think because November 21st. I'm like, what? Why did that just come out of my mouth? But maybe you're meant to do it for 21 minutes. Either way, remember this weekend, try to practice patience. Try to slow down. If you're feeling like you're getting quick to anger, use it as a moment to try something different. Well, I love you all. I hope everyone has a beautiful day. Thank you again for all your continued support. The best way to support this podcast is to share it. That's been helping me get people all the time. Thank you guys. I'm fully self-supporting. I don't ask for money. I don't ask for donations. I do my hair and put it all, and I pay for all of these things. I just give all this information out freely because I love it. I love sharing it. I love giving it freely. I want to help people. I know a lot of my clients listen to this podcast. The only thing that I ask that you could help me with is sharing it with someone, sending it, rating, reviewing, subscribing, and sending it to a friend. And so many of you do that all the time, and I'm grateful for it. And for my new listeners, that's the best way right now that you can support this podcast. And I am so grateful for you guys every day. And, when I hear those messages, thank you, you help me, this, that, the other, that helps me fuel the fire to even continue to do this more. Because this is episode 211, y'all. 211. I love you all. Have a beautiful week.